I'm Ryan Crocker, former ambassador to Iraq. I also served in Iraq under the Saddam Hussein years, 1978 to 1980. And that gives me a frame of reference that has been amazingly valuable. I know what really bad looks like. And really bad looks like that 2-year period when Saddam formally assumed power. It was, as Kanan Makia wrote, very much a republic of fear. As we now move into the Iraqi elections, what a different country it is today with all of its problems, all of its troubles, all of its challenges. This is an Iraq I could not have imagined at the height of the Saddam years.
I think that these elections are going to be somewhat more heated than previous elections in 2014, 2010, because the electoral landscape and the landscape of the coalitions that are contesting the elections is a bit more complex and different from what it was in the past.
This election is important not because it will bring about a radical shift in Iraqi politics. It's most likely to be some kind of continuity for what we have seen in the previous elections, but in asserting the electoral process as the tool through which power is circulated and leaders are chosen.
The forthcoming election in Iraq is advertised to be a turning point in the political process. I don't think it will be. There will be some changes and some adjustments and realignments, but in my view, it's not going to produce a fundamental change in the structure of politics in Iraq. The chances of that happening are so remote because the dice has been loaded against change, against fundamental change, and in the interest of preserving the status quo.
The remarkable thing is the fragmentation of a number of the larger blocs that existed in 2014 and 2010. The first, of course, is being the fragmentation, splintering of the Shia bloc, which ran in the previous 2 elections on, certainly the previous election, on 3 lists. Now it is 5 lists, and we have seen a remarkable split in the Dawa party. The other interesting thing is Muqtada Sadr, that firebrand, the maverick cleric, has actually chosen to partner with the Communist Party. Now, a stranger combination cannot be imagined. However, it derives from both the Sadrist group and the Communists being united over the campaign against corruption, against sectarianism, and so on.
The other factor that is important about this election is that it might enhance and reinforce a trajectory that began in the last few months, which is the trajectory towards what I call post-sectarian politics in Iraq. Of course, it has also the potential of reversing this direction. It all depends on the outcome and the alliances and arrangements that will emerge after the election. But in general, we see a fragmentation in the sectarian and ethnic blocs. There are parties that are competing among each other in the same sectarian ethnic constituency. There are some nascent trends towards forming cross-sectarian alliances, such as the one of the Prime Minister Haider Abadi's coalition, which runs in all Iraqi provinces, Muqtada Sadr's coalition, which is a coalition of Islamists, liberals, communists, Sunnis, and Shias.
Whatever difficulties, whatever dangers lie ahead, I think the Iraqis fully understand the importance of democracy, that it is about more than elections. Clearly, it's about governance, where there are many, many challenges. But free and fair elections, in an absence of violence, goes a very, very long way to building the Iraq of the future?
At the moment, Islamist parties run the show, and they have established themselves in a position of power, and they have manipulated the system in their favor. So I think although there's great resentment, there's great dissatisfaction, the instruments for change are not in place, and therefore I don't believe there will be any significant change apart from some alliances shifting here and there.
In the past, the Shia bloc was large enough coming out of the elections to need some help from the Kurds and Sunnis. If, as we anticipate now, there won't be a single Shia bloc which has a big lead in terms of the seats it acquires in the elections, then, and we have sort of more or less equal seats for all the Shia groups, then the competition among the Shia to acquire alliances with Sunnis and Kurds in order to create the supermajority is going to be much more difficult, much more fraught, and there is going to be some very hard bargaining.